Assalamualaikum everyone. So for this task with oil pastel, you will need oil pastel, any brand, a pen to draw, pencil also to draw, ruler, and tissue paper. Alright, so for your task, you title it as oil pastel techniques, and these are the boxes that you need. First of all, if your oil pastel is dirty, this is how you clean it. Use tissue, rub it off, and just make sure there's no dirt on your crayon. Right, so we'll start with the first box. Label it as color plus white. So I'll start with a very heavy pressure, go over it, and then slowly lighten the pressure. Then I will add white. Make sure your white is clean, and then I will cover on top of the paper and overlap it on top of the color, and then bring back the color again and add lighter pressure and overlap it again with white. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show a gradual change of the color from dark to light. We all remember when color plus white becomes tint. So you see there's a good gradient. Next is we're going to work with color plus gray. From our last lesson, color plus gray becomes tone. So again, I'm starting with a heavy pressure and then lighten the pressure towards the left. Since I don't have gray, so I'm going to mix black and white. When you mix black and white, you get gray. So I will apply black first and then white on top of the black to get a gray. Right, slowly I overlap it over the color, which is orange, and there you go. You have orange, and then slowly, gradually it changes to gray and darker gray. Next box is color plus black. So color plus black is shade. Right, so again, from dark pressure becoming lighter pressure, and then I apply black. Also from darker pressure towards lighter pressure when it overlaps the color. Then I bring the color and overlap over the black to show the gradient change. And next box we are going to do value. Value is when you show light and dark of a color. So here I'm using green, and I put a hard pressure in the middle, and towards the left and the right a very light pressure, and on the right I apply black to show the darker value, and apply green to overlap the black to show a gradual change, and then I apply white on the left side overlap it over the green again to show gradual change. Alright, next, label the box as heavy pressure, and when you apply it here, you really press your crayon, and on this part you apply very light pressure. This box is for stippling. So we learned that stippling are just dots. Alright, so the more color you apply to the stippling, the better effect you get. It is also good to use many colors to create depth, right? So stippling are little dots everywhere, and it gives you specific texture. Right, you can create this. You can create trees using this texture, or perhaps grass. It takes a lot of time, but the outcome is very interesting. So I've started with light blue, and then I applied darker blue and darker blue. Now red. So you see, the color mixes in front of our eyes. So instead of it mixes together, so our eyes giving it an optical illusion mixes in front of our very own eyes. Okay, so there you have it. Next is scumbling. Scumbling is basically scribbling. And again, scumbling, it creates movement, it shows texture, and you can overlay it with many colors. But I advise, just like how we did with colored pencil before, we start with lighter color and slowly build it up towards the darker color. Then we have sgraffito. Right, for sgraffito technique, you use lighter color and then slowly build it up with darker and darker and darker color. Sgraffito is also good for texture, for grass texture. Right, so I started with yellow and then orange and red and now black. This is my last layer. Then you take any object to scrape off the first layer. When you scrape it off, you can actually see through all the 4 layers applied. Right, you can create any drawings. It could be an abstract, it could be a realistic drawing, but this is how it looks like, sgraffito. Right, next is pressure blending. So here I'm applying a few colors. The blending technique is overlapping of colors on top of each other. So you see how easily crayon blends over each other, right? Next, I'm gonna use a tool to blend the color. So I'm applying all the colors, starting from lighter color, and then towards the darker color. Again, just like on top, I am blending the color by overlapping it. Okay, I applied the last color. Alright, you can blend it using your finger. In this case, I'm gonna use a tissue. Roll it like a tube and then fold it and use this corner and rub on the color. The effect you get is a softer texture, softer look compared to the top, which has a more pronounced, vivid look. Okay, this is for layering. Right, again, starting with a lighter color. For layering, you can use for creating objects. In this case, I'm creating a ball, and with its shadow, cast shadow, and highlight. So I'm starting with lighter color, slowly building up with the darker color, and in between, I'm bringing the original color and blending or overlapping the colors, just to make sure it doesn't stand out so much. Okay, again, I'm overlapping the original color with the darker color. And I'm bringing some white for the highlight. That's layering. And lastly, etching. Etching is the exact opposite of sgraffito. Right? In this case, you do the scraping off first, or you draw with anything pointy, and then you apply the color on top. Right, this is again good for texture, for pattern drawing. You can create anything abstract with this. Right now I'm applying the color, lighter color. Right, see how the pattern shows itself. Right, so I'm applying darker color at the bottom. Right, because of the etching, right? The lines are showing. The lines are not actually covered by the crayon. So I used white to blend it and then tissue to smoothen it out. So this is etching. Right, your hand might get dirty out of the oil pastel.